The night was quiet over the Caribbean, but radar screens aboard the USS Gravely were alive with faint echoes. A storm had rolled in, masking small vessels and disrupting surveillance patterns. To most of the sailors, it looked like just another tropical squall, but hidden in the chaos of wind and water was a plan months in the making. The U.S. Navy's destroyers, cruisers, and submarines were stretched thin, conducting overlapping missions of counter-narcotics and show-of-force patrols. That strain created the one vulnerability the enemy needed. As lightning forked across the sky, a group of disguised freighters pushed into international waters. Their cargo holds did not carry food or fuel. Instead, concealed beneath layers of false steel bulkheads were advanced drones, precision-guided munitions, and electronic warfare systems specifically designed to blind American radars. From a distance, they looked like innocent cargo ships fleeing a storm. Up close, they were weapons disguised as commerce. For hours, the Americans watched them, logged them, and dismissed them. Nobody wanted to pull a destroyer off its patrol route for a routine inspection. That decision would soon haunt the fleet. The freighters crept forward slowly, deliberately, using the storm to mask their radar signature. Their decks were soaked, containers lashed down to appear authentic. Yet hidden compartments hummed, faintly with power as their systems activated one by one. Inside the Gravely's Combat Information Center, a young operator raised a question about the strange pattern of echoes, but his superior waved it off. Just weather clutter. Meanwhile, the disguised ships adjusted formation, spreading out to triangulate their electronic assault. The storm made them invisible to satellites, the sea their ally, the night their cover. Miles away, the Lake Erie reported intermittent static on its communications net, a problem dismissed as tropical interference. The Samson logged unusual signal spikes but marked them low priority. None realized they were being studied, mapped, and targeted in real time. By the time the Americans would grasp the threat, the trap would already be closing, and the Caribbean would no longer be quiet. By dawn, the ocean looked calm again. The disguised freighters drifted just outside Venezuelan waters, their crews waiting for a coded signal. Far above, a U.S. Navy P-8 Poseidon patrol aircraft swept the horizon with surface search radar. It spotted the convoy, tagged it, and relayed coordinates to the USS Lake Erie, but no immediate threat was registered. The electronic signatures looked like nothing more than commercial trade vessels. Then, without warning, the first freighter's hull split open like a mechanical flower. Panels folded back, revealing a vertical launch system welded into the ship's skeleton. Drones shot skyward, unfolding diamond-shaped wings. They weren't kamikaze drones nor simple recon craft. They were designed for a singular mission: to find and saturate U.S. radar systems with false targets. Within minutes, the Gravely's Aegis combat system lit up with hundreds of ghost signals. Operators shouted over each other, alarms blared, and targeting solutions scrambled. Nobody knew what was real. In the confusion, the second freighter unleashed its cargo, long-range anti-ship cruise missiles disguised under shipping containers. Painted to look like rusted steel, they screamed toward the nearest destroyer. At that moment, the U.S. Navy realized the storm wasn't the real danger. The storm had been the cover for something far deadlier. The Gravely fired its first salvo of SM-2 surface-to-air missiles, streaking upward in bright arcs. But the ghost signals created by the drones confused the guidance systems. Several interceptors detonated harmlessly in empty air, fooled into chasing decoys. The swarm pressed forward, not to destroy but to blind, saturating every frequency. The USS Lake Erie tried to reconfigure its radar suite, deploying electronic countermeasures, but the freighters had prepared for that too. Their drones began jamming communications, slicing through encrypted frequencies and flooding channels with false commands. "On board the Samson," sailors shouted as navigation systems flickered, screens turning to static. In the chaos, the second freighter's missiles slammed into the sea surface a few hundred meters from the destroyer, exploding in massive water plumes that rocked the ship violently. Damage control parties scrambled as alarms howled across the deck. Then came the third wave. Underwater drones released quietly from the last freighter, gliding toward the U.S. ships like silent predators. With advanced sonar mimicking natural whale song, they slipped past initial detection. Only when one detonated, beneath a supply ship's hull, did the Americans realized the ocean itself had become weaponized. Panic spread through the task force. In less than an hour, what had been a dominant U.S. show of force had turned into survival. The U.S. commanders attempted to regain control, issuing orders to regroup and push the freighters back. But the enemy had no intention of retreating. From Venezuelan coastal batteries came another surprise. Long-range shore-based missiles, fired in coordination with the disguised fleet. Dozens of warheads streaked toward the U.S. formation, timed perfectly with the ongoing chaos. The Gravely, already shaken by near misses, engaged its close-in weapon system, spewing streams of tracer fire into the sky. The Lake Erie fired off its last defensive interceptors. Some missiles were destroyed, exploding in brilliant fireballs above the sea, but others got through. One slammed into the Samson, tearing through its superstructure in a violent detonation that sent sailors diving for their lives. Another clipped the Gravely's aft deck, setting fire to its helicopter hangar. Smoke rose high into the Caribbean sky as the mighty fleet bled strength. Meanwhile, the freighters released their final payload. Fast attack boats armed with short-range rockets and heavy machine guns. They zipped across the waves, weaving between missile trails and fire. The U.S. task force, designed for conventional warfare, found itself besieged by hybrid tactics it hadn't prepared for. By the time reinforcements were requested, the battle had already shifted. For the first time in decades, U.S. naval dominance in the region faced a true and humiliating test, and the world was watching.